Alright, so this is devlog number 2. I'm going to try and stop saying all the time and hopefully manipulate the screen so that you guys can actually see what I'm looking at. I did a number of things today. Thank you to Matharu, who developed a very nice video explaining moving platforms, because I woke up today and chose violence and decided that rather than focusing on the overall scope of this game and where it needs to go and actually writing a game design document, that I'm just going to throw an element in. Which is the problem, because that's where my first game, Oddly Familiar, ran into so many damn problems. I kept refining and refining and refining and refining until about 72 hours before the due date, and it was awful. This time, we're trying to keep the scope much more simple and much achievable, much more achievable. Right now, today, I did work on the moving platforms with Matharu's video, and the genuinely saint-like help of Mimpy and the fellows at the GMS2 Discord, which I cannot recommend enough, who walked me through for about 2 hours of how to integrate Matharu's code on top of Sarah Spalding's code that I took for the platformer template that she provided. And how you should not do that, and you need to learn your code and actually understand what you're doing instead of just slapping them on top of each other, which is another bad habit. We got it working, and with a lot of iterating and a lot of hemming and hawing on my part and drinking a lot of coffee to figure out how to work, we got it to work. The other thing that I did was this, what I'm showing here, and that is a labeling system where if we look at the exit sprite, and I zoom in maybe, yeah, there we go. You can see that each frame has these labels. We have exit for just the base icon, and then the rooms 1 through 10, as well as hub and test, and a blank one for some reason. This developed into this hub where we can load in at the very beginning of the game and jump into the test room if we want, and go into the other rooms as we build them for testing purposes. Room test is just here so that I can test new mechanics, which is where we're going to get to the moving platforms that I worked on. We have these platforms and these platform points. They have to start on one of these 2 points, and they will travel to the point that they are paired with. This is done by way of variables. Nope, not there. It's in the points, not the actual platform itself. There we go. So this one is paired with platform 1. That platform that I just opened was called platform 1, and it says it's on its starting point, or it says this is the starting point. This one, this variable is false, and thus it is not the starting point, which means it's the ending point. So this platform will go from here to here. This one will go from here to here, and this one will go from here to here, even at a diagonal. We did have some trouble with our girl vibrating on the platform when it was just, or even the wall actually. If you looked very closely, you could see her just jittering there on the spot, and it was probably going to cause some issues a little bit, so with Mimpy's help I was able to figure that out. We can move through these platforms unlike the walls, which we can't. We will bump our head. And yeah, so we're gonna hit a test run and see how this goes. Here we see the test room and the hub. There we go. And then if we go into the test room, we can jump up here. Jump up here. Da-da-da. This one is offset with the other one that goes diagonal and moves really fast. Maybe we can dial that in. Then go back to the hub. We still got room 1 with our very early iteration of the spike trap. I think the current scope for this game is going to be 10 levels with maybe 2 enemies and the rest just internal objects that we have to deal with, like these moving blocks and whatnot. And like I said, this is to really dial in how well we can maintain our scope of what it is we're trying to accomplish, so that when the jam comes up in January, we can apply that theme to presumably a basic platformer and just run with it, and then iterate a little bit and then polish, which is not at all what happened with Oddly Familiar. Much to my chagrin, I greatly enjoyed that project and working on it, but it did not come out as well as I think it would have if I had calmed down and really tried to make something achievable instead of trying to make something perfect. I think the next order on the docket is to build the game design document, which I might do a video on because it's very important, and I know a lot of people avoid it. I never have, because it really helps my ADHD to have that kind of that checkbox and work through that. I'm saying again because I'm playing the game and I can't think of other things to say. There we go. Game design document is definitely, I'm almost certain it's going to get a video because it is a very vital part and my artist needs it, so I might as well work on it. The other aspect that I want to work on is really figuring out this camera and figuring out where we want to take that, because I think that's the first thing that we have to dial in before we can really start worrying about level design, is how the player approaches the obstacles and the enemies that they're dealing with. And then I think the next obstacle after that will be the actual size of the levels and how big we want them to be, and whether or not they're going to be episodic, meaning instance-based. We go into a level, we do a thing, and then we leave the level, or linear. Maybe there will be a pathway, like in WarioLand, or not a pathway, sorry, a central hub, like in WarioLand 2, where you can go through doors and see different areas. Probably going to avoid that just because that feels like that'll lead to sprawl, and really the point of this project is to get as many items fleshed out as possible, not just added in. But I think that's all I've got for today. Again, thank you to the GMS2 Discord and Mimpy especially. But so far today we've got the exit sprites for the hub nice and labeled for the room editor, which is a really cool trick. Thank you, WanderlustIntheEnd, I think that was your name, who helped me with that. It's a really slick idea. It really helped me out, because otherwise they were all just labeled exit and it got really annoying. Thank you, Matthew, for the moving platforms. And yeah, here we go. Have a good night, everybody.